Hi, Lisa here with Blue Night Stamps. I'm so excited to show you this, what I would call a monochromatic card, but it really actually has two colors, but it's so deceiving that it looks like one. But when you hold it up in the light, you can see that there's blue and this gold brownish color, which I'm going to show you how to do. I don't know if you can see it pretty good with the, but anyways, it's super shimmery. There you go. You kind of see the shimmer. What I used was I used the Winter Barn stamp from Blue Night Stamps, this one right here. And when you, that's the back of the stamp, that's what it looks like. And you peel it off, and my thing that I always think about is the only thing that's, well, there's some other things that are level, but you want to, like on your Misti, you just want to make sure that this roof is aligned on your grid. So like that's my line. I want to make sure that it's straight and then go ahead and stamp, because if you look like here, there's only this little guide, so what will happen is you'll think it's straight and it's not. So you just want to make sure that the roof is level or parallel to the paper. Anyways, it just works out well when you do it that way. But anyways, Blue Night Rubber Stamps Winter Barn is the stamp set that I'm showing you today. I really love these sets. I call them like the winter country stamp sets. Anyway, so I already stamped this in brown archival ink. So I stamped this with brown archival ink. Potting soil is what I used. I think potting soil is probably my favorite. And I'm just going to stamp the sentiment. The sentiment is from the Love Was Born from Blue Night Stamps right here. And I'm using the Love Was Born in a Stable. Okay, so there it is, and it works perfectly with the whole stamp, like it's like made for it. So anyways, if you get this stamp, you should, if you get the Winter Barn, you should totally get the Love Was Born in the Stable, because it just goes well with both of them. Okay, put that back on, and now I'm going to be ready to watercolor. And what I love is that it takes it's a pretty simple process. So what I did with this, and then you don't have to use starry colors. I'm using Kuretake's Gansai Tombi starry colors, and then I'm also using pearl colors. But now that I think about it, I have them in the wrong box. Black and brown. So this goes together, this goes together. Last time I put them together, they did not go back. So anyways, that's what I'm using. And I'll have that out just like that. Okay. And the paper that I'm using is on fluid watercolor paper. It's a new watercolor paper that I used I got a sample pack, and I'm just loving it. You know, I love my Strathmore mixed media paper, which is still like my go-to because I can find it at Hobby Lobby, but the fluid watercolor paper, fluid hot press watercolor paper, takes a beating, and it just feels so good. It just paints nice, and I just love it. Okay, anyway, so here's the card that I'm painting. I'm going to show you now. You don't have to, the barn, the fence, the barn and the fence and the horses all have just a touch of red gold from Starry Colors, and that's what I'm going to paint first. And when I say a little bit will go a long way, I truly mean that. And of course, everything dries lighter, so you might have a hard time seeing the color put on, but it is there. And I don't do a whole lot, but it will always dry later. And I just do this side of the barn a little bit, and then I go in and I add the bottom first, and then we call this feathering up. So we're feathering up on the barn. We're not adding any extra paint. Okay, so there's the barn. The barn's done. This is a great card, and I'm not gonna do the whole fence because that just doesn't always work for watercolor. So I'm gonna do the posts, and then wherever I can put in my brush. So my brush is a size 6. It's from Simply Simmons. It's a workhorse. It's worth every penny. They're not too expensive, but this Simply Simon brush really does work well. And I know there's a lot of shimmery paints out there, watercolor shimmer paints, and any shimmery paint will work. I just really love the Starry colors. I think it's just one of my favorites. I have used like just an iridescent shimmer thing where you can add to different colors, and that does work. Now on here you can kind of see that I added I'm just adding a little bit of white. You're not really going to see it in the picture, but it's going to add to the iridescent part. And you do want to make sure that you get this nice wash, because wherever you don't put paint, it's going to look different. And then this also gives the blue a place to kind of run to make it look painterly. So that's why I'm doing that. And I'm not, again, I'm just using water to, I have enough on my brush that I don't need a whole extra bit of shimmer paint. And then I go up to the roof and I do the same thing. And I'm breaking my rule. I always say I like to go from top to bottom first, but in this case with the brown, I didn't want the brown shimmer colors to get mixed in with the blue, so I'm letting the brown dry before I do my sky, and my sky will be last. So that works. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my Pearl Cobalt Blue, and look at this blue. This blue is just like, I'm in love with it. And of course it looks really dramatic right now. It won't. I love winter scenes because you can, it's just perfect for watercolor. I don't know, especially in Iowa where it seems like everything is so white after it snows. Now I'm going to be a little bit careful and get more blue in here. I don't want it to look like a sea of blue, so that's where I'm just adding a little bit of blue where I can. And of course it's going to be darker by the fence and towards the trees because there's shadows there. And it might be a little bit darker by the barn. Alright, so that's maybe a little too much blue for me. So I'm just going to feather it out. And then I'm going to like let go of that line. I don't want that line to be so right there. Now it does not look so, it doesn't look like a blue ocean instead of a snow scene. Right? Okay, now I actually left these mountains alone because I could. You could go in and add a little touch of purple or something, but I found the mountains, hills, whatever, were just perfect the way they were, so I didn't want to mess with it. The line drawing is so pretty. I didn't really want to mess with it. Now it looks, you can hardly tell this blue on the roof. So I'll make it a little bit darker. But if you were to paint it, just adding a little bit of that blue really goes a long way. Okay, here we go. And now I'm gonna erase that just a tiny bit. Now I'm gonna go back to the sky. If you look at the sky is always darker at the top of any landscape. Like even if you go outside on a sunny day, you're gonna see that the sky is darker towards the top instead of the bottom, like on a sunny day or whatever kind of day you're at. So I always add to the top and then work my way down. And because I'm keeping with that same color story, I don't want to change colors, but I am gonna just add, a little bit will do ya. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call this card done. There we go. I'm done. I'm walking away from it. Let it dry. I just put it on some brown cardstock and then on some white, I believe it was 110-pound cardstock base. And then you have a perfect card to send for Christmas. And isn't that just lovely? I just love it. It glimmers when you move it. So it's just so fun. So anyways, I hope you give watercolor a try. I hope you give Blue Night stamps a try. These were the two sets that I used. The Winter Barn and the Love Was Born in the Stable. So happy creating Christmas cards. 'Tis the season, right? Enjoy your Christmas.